Hello dear students. Today we will see the next part of the chapter, that is medical termination of pregnancy, or you can also call it in shortcut as MTP. Okay, so first we will see the definition of MTP. So this MTP is nothing but it is the intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term. That is nothing but your MTP, or you can also call it as induced abortion. So what do they do here? They discontinue pregnancy because of some of the other reason. That is nothing but here MTP. So this MTP usually that is done all over the world. So usually this nearly 45 to 50 million medical termination of pregnancies are performed in a year all over the world. That is, you can say that is 1/5 of the total number of conceived pregnancies. Okay, that MTPs may be performed for one or the other reason. That's another thing. But totally, it is 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed each year. Then this MTP, what is the exact time for this performing this MTP? That is for medical termination of pregnancy. What is the appropriate time then? So this usually this MTP is safe during the first trimester, performed during the first trimester, that is 12 weeks of pregnancy, rather than after 3 months. Okay, first trimester means 3 months. It is safe before 3 months. You may ask me the question, why not after 3 months? Because if you go beyond 3 months, it is bit riskier. So usually this MTPs are performed during first trimester only. Right. Then coming to the significance of MTP, or before the significance, let me tell you that there are certain laws and laws or the rules and regulations which are governing this MTP, because it has been misused by many of the people around the world. So especially in India also, you can say. Okay, so here this MTP, many countries have not legalized MTP. Many countries are there which have not legalized. There are certain countries which have legalized. In India, especially India, so many countries have not legalized MTP because of their emotional, ethical, religious and social issues. Okay, it is left to them. But when it is concerned to India, here in India it was legalized through MTP Act in the year 1971. Okay, according to this act, there are certain restrictions, or there are certain conditions. If you want to perform MTP, there are certain conditions which you need to follow, and those conditions will help you to avoid its misuse. Okay, if there were no conditions, if there was no legalized, people easily would go for MTP. But as the government of India has made a MTP Act in 1971, that will restrict the people to its making its misuse. Okay, so this next one is regarding the importance of MTP. So here in the diagram they have shown you how they go for MTP, that is medical termination of pregnancy or induced abortion. Then significance is, what may be the significance of this induced pregnancy? So first of all, it will help to get rid of unwanted pregnancies, which may be either due to the casual unprotected intercourse or the failure to have contraceptive methods during your sex or rapes. In total, what they want to say is this MTP will help you to avoid unwanted pregnancies. Suppose if you have had sex and if you get pregnant, if you don't want that pregnancy, you can go for MTP and get it removed. That is one significance. The another thing is, you can another thing is, this MTP is useful in the case where continuing of pregnancy is, that is, it's harmful, where continuation of pregnancy is harmful or even fatal, that is, it may be life risky. Okay, right. So in that case, that is, you can discontinue pregnancy by using this MTP, because there are certain cases where the doctor says that if you continue pregnancy, the mother may die or the child may die or both may be in danger. That time, that is, the doctor suggests for MTP, then in that case this MTP will have its importance. Then, and the most important thing of this significance of this MTP is it is going to play an important role or the significant role in decreasing the population of the country. But actually, it is not its main role, or it's not the appropriate role of this MTP. Okay, no doubt it will reduce the population, but it's not the main purpose of this MTP. Okay, then next thing about this MTP is about the problems related with MTP, the drawbacks of MTP. That is, this MTP is no doubt it is going to play important role in decreasing population, but along with this it has got certain drawbacks or the problems which are related. First thing is, a majority of the MTPs are usually performed illegally, first of all, and illegally it is done by unqualified quacks. That's another big problem, and that if they're unqualified with the fake degrees, that may be, that is very very fatal. Okay, right. Then next thing is, this MTP may be misused to perform amniocentesis to determine the sex of the baby. Okay, to determine the sex of the unborn baby. And suppose the if the baby is found to be a child, the female, sorry, if the baby is found to be a female child, then it will be that is immediately followed by MTP, especially the especially the Indian mentality nowadays, or the earlier days. You're not rather saying nowadays, the earlier days they say that they prefer son instead of daughter. So that is due to this concept, there were increasing number of increasing number of MTPs, that is female feticide were happening. So that is one major problem, that is they misuse this that is misuse of amniocentesis test, and then they go for removal of the female child by MTP. So as you all know very well, that is they have shown you here in the diagram about the how MTP is done and what are its advantages. So here what they do is amniocentesis, that is it is a test to determine the sex of the baby, especially normally. But by this test you can also come to know regarding the genetic disorders which may be in the child by analyzing the amniotic fluid. So in this test what they do is, some amniotic fluid is of the fetus is taken for analysis, that is to analyze the fetal cells and the dissolved substances. Then it is also used to test the presence of some genetic disorders, then survivability of the fetus, whether it is normal or whatever. So, and it can also be used to determine the sex of the baby. And this amniocentesis test have been misused by many of the people. Okay, then next about the rules which are there in India regarding the MTP nowadays, that is, here the government of India has enacted the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act in the year 2017 to reduce illegal abortions and subsequent maternal mortality as well as morbidity. You know very well, in any of the that is maternity hospitals, they put a board that is determination of the sex of the baby is prohibited. Okay, there is a ban over amniocentesis because that is nowadays the people are going for, there is increasing female feticide for that purpose. Okay, then according to this act, another thing is what they inculcated is a pregnant, and that is a pregnancy may be terminated within the first 12 weeks on the opinion of a single registered medical practitioner, that is the doctor, by the doctor prescription or the medical practitioner you can go for, that is you can terminate the pregnancy within the, if it is within the 12 weeks. If the pregnancy is between 12 to 24 weeks, then you need 2 registered medical practitioners, okay, right, for the prophylaxis. So this is all what the government action has taken. Government has taken the action in order to prevent this misuse of this MTP. Okay, The next is regarding the sexually transmitted disease. So sexually transmitted disease, you are very well versed it because you have been learning since your high school days. Okay, sexual transmitted disease or STDs. Okay, in shortcut. So this sexually transmitted disease or STDs are nothing but these are the disease or the infections which are transmitted through sexual intercourse. So they are collectively called as sexually transmitted disease, or you can also call them as vulnerable disease, or you can also call them as reproductive tract disease, that is RTI. And then regarding this disease causing organism, here the STDs are caused by either the bacteria or the viruses or the protozoans. So here you can say, can give the example of few of the STDs which are caused by bacteria are your gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydiasis. So in the below diagram they have given you, below the pictures are showing you the symptoms of different STDs which are caused by the bacteria or the viruses. You can see it carefully. So the examples for the STDs which are caused by bacteria are your gonorrhea, syphilis. This is the bacterial STDs. Then when it is concerned to the viruses, that is your AIDS, hepatitis B, then your genital herpes, genital warts. These are all the STDs which are caused by viruses. Then you can also take the example of trichomoniasis, which is an STD which is caused by protozoan. Okay, so these are the few STDs, that is examples, that is gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B, HIV, which is leading to AIDS. These are all the STDs. Then after knowing regarding the causative organism of the STD, we will move on to the mode of transmission of STD. So here it may be either your HIV or your hepatitis. They are all transmitted by, first of all, they are transmitted by, that is sharing of infected injection needles or the surgical instruments. Okay. Then second thing is, they may be transmitted from contaminated blood transfusion, from the contaminated person to a healthy one. Then sharing of injection needles, as I already mentioned. Then it may get transmitted from infected mother to the child during the process of birth. So these are all the possible routes by which the mode of transmission of mode of transmission of STDs can take place. Then except your hepatitis B, genital warts, then herpes and HIV, other disease can be completely curable if detected early and treated early. Okay, then this is all about the transmission. The next is regarding the symptoms. So the earlier symptoms of this STDs are minor, and they include itching, fluid discharge, then a slight pain, especially in the reproductive or genital regions. Okay, be in the female or the male, swellings, etc. Okay, and then what happens is, especially in the infected females, they may be usually asymptomatic and hence remain undetected for a long period of time, just like your COVID-19, your coronavirus. The coronavirus, some people are the carriers. Okay, where they are the carriers which they have shown asymptomatic, but still they are the carriers. They do not show any symptoms, but they are the vehicles who can spread the virus. Like that, here also the infected female is asymptomatic, not showing any that is symptoms, but still it can so it remain undetected. But later on, what happens? Lead to complications which may include pelvic inflammation disorders, then abortions, stillbirths, ectopic pregnancies, infertility, and even the cancer of the reproductive tract. So these are all the symptoms of that is your STDs. Then coming to next one is the preventive measures. How best you can prevent this? So first of all, That is, as I already said, that is, prevention is better than cure. So likewise, these are the following, there are certain preventive measures. First thing is, you have to avoid sex with the unknown partners or multiple partners. You have to be faithful to your partner. Then second one is, always use condom during coitus, that during having sex. Then third one is, take precaution while handling blood or the tissue fluid. Okay, the next one is, you can have strict sterilization techniques for needles, syringes and surgical instruments. Then next thing is, awareness should be created among the people about the routes of infection, modes of infection, etc., etc. Then at last, in case of doubt, we can go to a qualified doctor for earlier detection and get complete treatment. And usually this AIDS, that is the age group between 15 to 24, these people are the victims of this AIDS. Okay, that is, we are not AIDS, that is especially STDs. It may be the AIDS or something else. Okay, so these are all the this is, or you can say, this is all about the sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, then next part of this chapter is regarding the infertility. Here, about the infertility, before going to the infertility, let me tell you regarding the sexually important questions about the sexually transmitted disease. So sexual transmitted, they may ask you for 1 marks or 2 marks question. Name any 2 sexually transmitted disease, or they may ask you mention any 4 sexually transmitted diseases, which may be asked for 1 mark question or 2 marks question. It depends how many they ask you. Okay, how many STDs they ask you. Okay, so if they ask you for 2 STDs 1 mark, if they may ask you 4 STDs 2 marks, like that. So be prepared, that is, name the disease, that is what are the STDs, that is sexual transmitted, name the sexual transmitted diseases. Okay, you have to be ready with that. Then we were talking regarding infertility. Okay, so this infertility, what do you mean by infertility then? So infertility is nothing but it is an inability to conceive or produce children even after 2 years of unprotected sexual cohabitation. That is what that is, if we talk in the Indian sense, or the according to Indian society, infertility, what do you mean by infertility then? Suppose that is that is husband and wife who have been married. Okay, and automatically if they're husband and wife, they will be staying in the same house. Okay, right. What happens is, if they do not have children even after the 2 years of marriage and staying together and having unprotected sexual activity, even then if she is unable to get pregnant or conceive, then that phenomena can be called as infertility. So infertility is nothing but unable to conceive, unable to conceive, that is to become pregnant. Okay, even after 2 years of unprotected sexual cohabitation, even after living together, having sex, unprotected sex, even if they do not have children, even after 2 years of marriage, then they are called, that is called as infertility. Then here there are large number of couples all over the world who are suffering from this infertility, or they are infertile, they do not have children. Okay, then you may ask me the question, why this infertility occurs? What may be the causes for infertility then? This infertility, maybe the reasons for infertility may be either physical or congenital, or it may be any of the disease, then due to some of the drugs, then immunological problems, or even psychological problems. So here about the disorders, this infertility, which is considered as one of the disorders, can be corrected in infertility clinics, which are spread everywhere nowadays. Okay, there are certain special clinics which will treat your infertility problems, and then using ARTs, that is assisted reproductive techniques. These are the methods, these are the new techniques which have come forward to which have, or you can, they have been adopted to assist conceptions to overcome infertility. Then you may ask me, which are those then? ARTs are like, see all this they have given. These are the technologies which will correct the infertility problems. So very nicely they have given, that is the ART is there in the center, and these are all the different types of ARTs. First one we will see IVF. ET is there, in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer, or that is popularly known as test tube baby technique. Okay, then next one is ZIFT. In that they have not mentioned, but still you can write it in a second option like ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. The next one is GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Then you can also go for ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Then you can go for artificial insemination, or finally you can go for surrogacy. So these are all the different types of ARTs, assisted reproductive techniques. Okay, and these techniques you are going to study one by one. So first of all we will see, that is in vitro fertilization and embryo transfer. So here it is commonly known as a test tube baby technique, test tube baby program. So in this method, here in vitro fertilization means it is a fertilization which occurs outside the body of the female. Okay, as you already know, that is fertilization will occur in the female body itself, because a female gamete egg is immotile, whereas the male sperms are deposited, and those sperms are motile. They will run and reach an egg, and then the fertilization occurs inside the body of the female. But here in vitro fertilization, what happens is the fertilization is going to be carried out outside the body in almost similar condition as that of the body, and then once fertilization is done, it will be that is, there is development of embryo, and that embryo get transferred back into the womb of the female. Okay, then what exactly do they do here? Here in the picture they have highlighted how they show, how they do. That is, here in IVF ET, what do they do is, here the ova or the egg is collected from the female, or in case any problem is there with the female, then they go for a donor. So here what do they do? Listen, in this method, ova or the egg is collected from the wife or the donor, and sperms are collected from the husband or the donor. If there is any problem with the husband, they will go for a donor, healthy donor. So here sperms are collected from the healthy donor, and they are induced to form zygote under stimulated conditions in the laboratory. They will create a condition in the laboratory as similar to the womb, and then they will allow the sperm and the egg to be together, and that may lead to fertilization. Okay, that is fertilization, and then there is formation of zygote. Okay, then this zygote, or you can say this zygote, will undergo cleavage to form the embryo with up to 8 blastomeres, and then that is now transferred into the fallopian tube or the uterus for implantation, and further growth takes place in the womb of the female in a natural way. Okay, so first of all what they do is, they carry out fertilization of the male and the female gamete, and once there is fertilization, there is formation of zygote, and that zygote can be converted to embryo. That is not automatically, but that zygote will undergo cleavage, divisions to give rise to embryo with 8 blastomeres, and then that embryo is transferred back to the transferred back into the female body. Either it may be transferred into the uterus, or it may be transferred into the fallopian tube. Okay, right. Then in that, types of embryo transfer also. Okay, so first one is GIFT, next one is IUT. So in GIFT, here, that is embryo transfer can be taking place by two ways, that is GIFT and IUT. So in GIFT, what do they do? Here, in this method, the zygotes, which are or zygote, or you can say the embryo with 8 blastomeres, are transferred into the oviducts rather than gametes. Or you can say here, there is transfer of zygote or the earlier embryos into the fallopian tube. So it is known as if zygote intrafallopian transfer. The sentence itself shows or tells you regarding where exactly the zygotes will be transported. That is zygote intrafallopian transfer. That automatically means inside the fallopian tube here the embryo will be placed. Okay, the next option is about the IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. What exactly does it mean? The name itself indicates. Again, here what they do is, that is the transfer of embryos. Whatever the embryos are formed in vitro, they are now transferred. Instead of transferring them into the fallopian tube, they transfer them into the uterus. So the name is intrauterine transfer. Okay, and then whatever the embryos we are using for transferring, that is embryos which are formed in the laboratory, that is, remember one thing, they may be formed in vitro fertilization also or in vivo also. It depends. So the embryo which we are taking for implantation to the female body may be fertilized in vivo also, in vitro also, remember. Okay, right? Is it clear? Then about the next technique is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Gamete intrafallopian transfer. So here in this technique, what do they do? This method, both sperm and egg are introduced into the fallopian tube, and this technique comes in use mainly when the, you can say, female cannot produce ovum, but she can provide environment for fertilization and further development. So here this gamete intrafallopian transfer, it is one of the ART which will help, that is, it is one of the ART, it will help the woman when she is in difficulty, that is when she has got a problem, like she cannot produce egg, but she can that is provide the environment suitable for, that is for fertilization and development. In that case, you can take the help of this gift. Here what do they do is, they'll take the egg from the donor, right, that is a female donor, then the sperm of the male is there, or the husband is taken. There is husband and a wife, you take the example, then the wife is unable to produce the ovum, but she can provide the environment. That in that case, what happens is, they will take the egg of the, and that is donor female, then the sperm of the husband is taken, right, or the donor is taken, and then it is allowed to fertilize. And once it is fertilized, that is here in gamete intrafallopian transfer, what they do is, they will take the ovum from the donor, and then that ovum is transferred into the fallopian tube of the another female. Okay, why they are transferring? Because that female cannot produce egg. Suppose, that is, say A and B. A lady is there who can produce the egg. B lady is there who cannot produce the egg. What they do is, that is the B, if the B wants to become a that is mother, but she cannot produce egg, then in that case what do they do is, they will take the egg or the ovum from the that is lady A, and they will put into the body of the that is lady B. That is what they will do in gamete. Okay, that is in this technique, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Okay, gametes are taken, they are put into the another female body. Then next one is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So here in this technique, it is can say it is another specialized procedure to form an embryo in the laboratory, in which the sperm is directly injected into the ovum. Okay, so here it is totally a laboratory procedure, in which, as I already told, that is a single sperm from the donor or the husband or the male partner totally is injected directly into the egg from the female partner, and then after fertilization the embryo is implanted into the woman's uterus. So the diagrams are showing you what exactly is done, that is the line wise what they have shown here. In this also below the explanation also they have shown, that is how that is needle which is carrying the sperm has been entered into the cytoplasm of the that is egg, and then how the sperm is delivered inside the cytoplasm. Okay, and that sperm will fertilize the egg, and then after fertilization this embryo which is formed is transferred into the fallopian tube or either the uterus of the female. And then you may ask me, why do we do this? Then what's the problem then? Usually this method is employed when the male suffers from oligospermia. Oligospermia means that is low sperm count. Okay, right. Or if the male is suffering from azoospermia. Azoospermia means absence of live sperm. Okay, in the semen, if the live sperm, there will be dead sperm also, sometimes unhealthy sperms. If the live sperms, living sperms are very less, that time you can go for this technique, that is ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Okay, so it may be either the oligospermia or the zoospermia. Here the sperms are not very capable of fertilizing them. They will be in some or the other way have lost the capacity to that is fertilize the egg. In that case this method can be used, or this method is going to assist the couples to have children. Then next thing is about the artificial insemination, AI technique. So in artificial insemination, so what exactly do they do? Here in this method the semen is collected from the husband or the donor, healthy donor, and that semen which is collected is introduced into the vagina or the uterus of the female. So the name that is artificially you are going to introduce. So the name itself gives you the idea, that is artificially you are going to inseminate the female with the that is the male gametes. So artificial insemination can be, that is artificially you are going to inject the sperms inside the female reproductive system. Those sperms can be inserted either in the vagina or the uterus. If they are inserted into the vagina, that is called as uterine insemination. You can also insert them into the into the fallopian tube also, no problem. Okay, so usually they are introduced into the uterus, and that is called as intrauterine insemination. Okay, then you may ask me the question, why we are in need of this artificial insemination? What may be the problem? So here this technique here is followed usually when either the male partner fails to inseminate or he is suffering from oligospermia. That is when the male partner is unable to inability to inseminate. Okay, inseminate people, he cannot deposit his sperms. Okay, or he has got low sperm count, that is called as low sperm count, that is oligospermia. Okay, in this technique that is by this technique the couples can assist themselves to have children, that is artificial insemination. Okay, usually don't compare, but still I am saying this artificial insemination you might have seen in your animals also. That is the veterinary doctor will get the semen which is stored in liquid nitrogen, and then he will get it back, and then he will artificially put it into the female reproductive system of a cow and the buffaloes, that is in the livestock. That is in case of your animals, they go for artificial insemination. In the same way, more or the less way, here artificial insemination is carried out in the human beings. Okay, the next one is regarding the surrogacy. Surrogacy can also be one of the methods to overcome infertility. So here the surrogacy, here the woman, that is the surrogate mother, will bear a child for a couple. For a couple, they are going to ready to that is conceive when the both the because that is when the couples are unable to produce children. Okay, that is sometimes happens, that is there are husband and wife, they've married and they've not got children, because that is here the child, the what happens is the wife is unable to become pregnant, or that is wife is infertile, or she is unable to carry. There are some complications, there may be some complication with the what that is uterus. In thus that case you can go for surrogacy. Okay, there are many surrogate mothers which are available in nowadays, and they are ready for, if you pay them with a lump sum amount, they are ready to be a surrogate mother for your child. Okay, what happens is here the surrogate mother is either artificially inseminated with your desired sperms, or sometimes moreover what they do is there is implantation of the embryo which is produced in vitro. Okay, already that is from the husband sperm is taken, from the egg from the female mother is taken, and then it is fertilized in the laboratory by artificial, that is in vitro fertilization is done. Then there is formation of zygote will lead to embryo, and such embryos are now you can put it into the body of the, you can such embryos you can transfer it into the body of the female, that is the female, that is surrogate mother. Okay, right, and thus you can make you can that is how you can that is you can have your baby through surrogacy. Okay, so you might have one best example is you might have heard from your film star, that is Shah Rukh Khan. He has got one last surrogate son. Okay, when they have got children, but even then they were interested in having surrogate son, so they went for it, and that was a successful story. Like that there are many more that such facts where the people who go for surrogacy and then they are having children. Okay, okay, so that can be another best option to assist couples to have their own children, or and overcome infertility. Then next is about the problems of ART. No doubt we have so much ARTs which will help our couples to have children, etc., etc., but still there are some drawbacks. Everything which is advantage which has got some disadvantages also. Okay, so as I already told you about the artists, although all the options are many, but these techniques are very, or these techniques require extremely high precise handling. Okay, by specialized professionals and expensive instrumentation. It's very expensive, you can see. Therefore these facilities are only available in very few centers, and it cannot be affordable by all. Okay, because it may be costing, that is according to my knowledge I've heard, that is this one single IVF ET, a single test tube baby, if you want to go for a treatment, it may, that is it may cost you around 1 lakh to 2 lakhs, depends upon the, that is how suffocated a that is how, sorry, how sophisticated a hospital is. Okay, right, that is it is a costly process which cannot be afforded by all. Okay, so then sometimes this ARTs, that is they are against, because of some emotional, religious and social problems. Then is about the last option what you can go for is for the legal adaptation. Okay, there are many children in our country who don't have parents. Okay, who have lost their parents. Okay, so there, in that case in India our laws are going to permit legal adaptation, and then if you can go for a legal adaptation of a child, and it is one of the best methods for couples who are having or who are looking for parenthood. Okay, you are going to get benefited in the both ways, because you will get your children, or you will get a child, and that child in turn will get your parents. So the legal adaptation can also be one of the best way. So these are all the methods by which you can overcome infertility. So here 5 marks question they may ask you. So what is infertility? So how this infertility can be treated through assisted reproductive technologies. This may be asked for 5 marks question. Each year they will ask you compulsory. So be prepared with this. Or they may ask you What is infertility? Mention how infertility is treated with gift, zift, or sometimes they ask you for ICS sign. Okay, like that. Or they may ask you what is infertility, how you can treat it with following methods. That is all the methods they may ask you. Okay, so totally they may ask you this for 5 marks question. So be prepared for this. Okay. Then this is all about this chapter. And then if you have any doubts, you can ask me or contact me, that is personally. All of you have got my number. You can ask it anytime if you have any doubts or if you have not that is understood anything. Okay. So thank you for watching.